Hello and welcome to IT Security Labs, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. If you are here, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you. It's very, very interesting and exciting to have people join me every single Sunday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and today at 9:15. And the goal is for us to actually just go out there and learn cybersecurity skills. There's only one way that I found that works if you want to really get good at what you do in cybersecurity, and that is to practice. You can practice at home. You can join me on this IT channel and we can learn together. That's the main goal here. And that's why I'm very excited for you to join me today. So without wasting time, today we have a machine. It's called Typhoon. And our Typhoon machine shows us here from Vulnhub that we can download. It's 2.4 gigs, and this teaches us how to do proper attacking and detection. So thank you very much for joining. If you are here, I see we have some people who are coming in. Really appreciate it. Let me minimize this. If this is your first time, my name is Howard, and I do these live streams every Sunday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I've been doing them for a while now, and we've been learning a lot. And I see BT is in the house. Thanks, brother, for joining. So today, this machine is going to be the easy machine. We attacked this machine last time when we were detecting Metasploit exploits, but I wanted to just focus more on the Drupal attack today. Yes, the machine is from Vulnhub. You can download it here. I wanted to focus on the Drupal attack because Drupal is something that you will likely experience, especially when you are going for something like the OSCP or any of these certifications out there. It's a very popular CMS solution, and the attack process for it is very easy, as you'll see tonight. Then after I'm done here, we'll also talk about some very exciting stuff that I'm working on the lab, and I'll show you that as well. As always, we have our security onion. Last 15 minutes, the intrusion detection system hasn't seen much. So I'm going to refresh. As you can see, it's a clean slate. So first thing that we need to do is scan this machine. It's on 192.168.38.121. If you're unfamiliar with this machine, just go to Vulnhub, download it, then you can set up your lab and you'll be able to attack it. Then I'll sign into my Kali Linux here. And I already have an Nmap scan that's ready to go. So I'll focus on how we can detect this attack. First, we need to scan the machine. Let's say we want to scan all ports using this. Nmap will go out there and scan all the ports. And as always, we can come back to our intrusion detection system. We started with nothing, right? Now let's refresh this and see what happens. In a little bit here, you're going to see some traffic from just running Nmap the Nmap scanner. Nmap stands for Network Mapper, and it's a tool that you can use to scan a host to identify if there's any open ports. In this case, I'm saying Nmap tell me the service versions, and also use some default scripts. There are some default scripts that you can find that Nmap uses, and that's what I'm doing. And this P flag here says scan all TCP ports. This will not do a UDP port scan for you. This is just a TCP port scan, which in this case suffices. As you can see, we found a bunch of things. This is a very vulnerable machine. There's like 4 different attack tracks for it. But for us, we're more interested in the Drupal scan, but we have some RPC mounts that are here. All right. Scrolling through this is going to take a long time. Let me see. I should have done a VV. But after Nmap is done, let's go back to our security onion. And this time, we should see some noise that has been generated. So as you can see here, we already see that we found some things, right? Someone went on the network and ran Nmap. Oh, really? Thanks for letting me know. Oh my God. What's happening with this? Let me see what I am. I thought I was sharing my screen. Let me see. There is me. Thanks, BT, for letting me know. I'm not sure why it's not sharing my screen. Let me find out. Give me 1 second. All right. How about now? This is what happens when it's all live. I was using my Zoom with Ecamm, so it kind of messed things up. Hey BT, let me know what it looks like right now. And I see some people are joining as well. Really appreciate everybody who joins me every Sunday. All right, let me find out what's happening here. So on my screen, it's showing me that I'm sharing, and then you can't see anything. Of course, that makes a big difference. Let me see. That's my live preview. All right. I think we finally figured it out. Now I should be sharing. I apologize for that. I had no idea that actually I wasn't sharing, but now you should be able to see. Hey, at least you got a good look at me, okay? That was a good look at me. All right. So our machine is called Typhoon, and it's right here. It's from Vulnhub. And this machine, like I said earlier, is very vulnerable. If you really want to practice at least 3 methods, if you're going for the OSCP or something like that, I highly encourage you to download this machine. And once you download this machine, you can import it in VirtualBox, and then you can do the attack that I'm doing here, which I was very excited to show you. But anyway, let me show you what it looks like again. So first, we did an Nmap scan. I'm going to remove all ports. Just do this one. So SV and SC would do a service version scan, and SC would do basic Nmap scripts that are there. So what you will find is Nmap will go to a victim machine, scan for open ports, then be able to identify what versions are there, and then tell you what you can do. In this case, we see on port 8080, we have Tomcat, Apache JSP engine 1.1. This one is vulnerable as well. We see more ports here that are open, including, in this case, we have disallowed Mongo on 80, which is kind of interesting. We also have postfix here. And if we scroll up, we even have FTP with anonymous allowed. So since you couldn't see my screen earlier, what I would normally do is, if I'm learning ethical hacking or when I was just beginning, is start from the top. We have port 21. We just open a new port FTP 192.168.38.121. Anonymous. With anonymous, you do not need to put a password. Just hit enter and you're in. And you can run the usual command, Linux commands like ls, pwd, cd, ls, pwd. You see, you can find out like, okay, where am I? Can I go to home? Things like this. So right now our FTP is empty. There's nothing in there, but we're curious, where does it actually save these files on the system? So maybe if I knew where I am right here, I'm on this directory, I can echo test to a test file, test.txt. Then I can try to sign in. Is anonymous, no password, then put that file. Okay, so could not create a file. So I could not put this file here for now. There's ways we can bypass this if we really get desperate. But this is what you do with your FTP. You create a dummy file, you try to see if you can write into it. But of interest is if there's any files here, you can download them. Right now we have nothing. So I will exit and just leave our regular FTP alone for now. We will find out if we need it later. We also have a version of FTP which you can search for and see if you can exploit, which will be very interesting. But for now, I wanted to show you the results from Nmap. So when you're running these tools, the most important thing for us to think of is, what do they do? That FTP that I was just interacting with was being logged. Right now, as you can see, the FTP session opened here. I have 18. This is from both Nmap and me interacting with FTP. This can be noisy on your environment, so you want to make sure that you only monitor these when it's definitely needed. Most people right now in 2022, you shouldn't be using FTP, but people do it anyway. So what does that look like? It says here we connected from 192.168.38.167. That's my Kali. So it's a successful event. So when you interact with FTP, a vulnerable service like FTP, it gets logged. And as you can see, we have a bunch of entries here. These entries both are from me interacting with FTP and also Nmap scanning and using anonymous login to get in. That's what you see. If you see this in your work environment, you will pick the phone and say, hey, the owner of this application or this server, what in the world are you doing with FTP that's not encrypted? Is there a business reason why we need to use FTP? This is like people using Telnet. It's a crime. You shouldn't do it. And you should encourage people to stop doing it. But of course, sometimes people have a business case for it, which might be interesting. All right, so after FTP, we were like, okay, we're going to move on to the website on 192.168.121. Let me just let's cut this out. We have port 80 on the site. We have this generic site here, which might be interesting. Let's bust some directories to see if there's any directories here. But most of the time when I see a website, I would interact with it. I'll view the page source, and do the obvious stuff, like visiting the links like this one, which takes us to the main site. But let's run Gobuster. Then we should be able to identify our Drupal site. Or we can run Lazyman's Gobuster, derb. This is directory buster. This one is not as reliable as a full Gobuster or derbuster scan, but it will still show you what's there in a very quick way. What I wanted to show you here is we see Drupal is showing up here, but if you run this tool in a production environment, be aware that it does cause a lot of logs. So look at this one, web server 400 error. Right now it's 1607. If I refresh this, that value is going up in the background as we speak, unless if it's done, because we see a bunch of those errors, and it actually tells us who the culprit is. All right, so let's see. Multiple web server 400 error codes from the same source IP. That's interesting. Who did that? Let's drill down on that. I think our Gobuster was finished. So 1607 is what we have. So if you're going to be running these tools as a pen tester, it'll be a disservice to you to not know what the defenders will see. Because in this case, you run Gobuster, 192, 168, 38, 167. That's my Kali Linux machine. Right now, we literally just generated all these alerts. So let's look at this one. What did we do? Okay, it's still going bad. Somebody said, watching at 3 a.m. right now. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Okay, so this right here is coming from the OSSEC machine. This is a host-based intrusion detection system. The actual host that's being attacked right now is saying, hey, I see multiple 400 errors, HTTP 400 errors from one source IP address. That's a problem because they're happening within milliseconds of each other. But look at this. We have a bunch of get. If you look at the timestamps here, it's even like at the same exact time. So this shows me that somebody's doing a scan on my environment, and I'm interested in finding out what in the world they're actually doing, and I would like to investigate them. So multiple web server 400 errors from the same IP because somebody's running a tool scanning. What does this mean for you and I? This can inform you when somebody's on your network running tools like what we're doing, or this might also inform you when you run these tools as part of a pen test or a red team engagement to make sure that you are not silly enough to just run Gobuster in its raw form when the people have an intrusion detection system like this, because of course they'll catch you and you won't be able to even do anything. So I'll stop Gobuster. We found our directory that we're interested in / we even have a PHP myadmin. I should look in that one later. But we're looking for this Drupal site here. So if we go back here and we go to /Drupal, we see a Drupal site. It's powered by Drupal, and there's a login here. There's a tool called DrupScan that you can use to identify whether or not this version is vulnerable. Let's view the page source. You might be able to find the version here. There's also a different page that you can find, but just viewing the source is good for us to be able to just say, okay, can we see any interesting information? So it's Drupal. Let's find out how to use DrupScan. I think I've shown you on this channel before, but we'll find out right now. I'll go to Google and say DrupScan Kali. And I'll bring this here so you can see what I just looked up. So DrupScan is a tool that you can use. There's many things that you can use here. Let's see from this document here. And here's a GitHub for it. Yes, I'll show you some rules here in a little bit, but Drupal, if you see a Drupal, just like when you find WordPress, you can use WP scan. DrupScan is an equivalent to that. And this project is orphaned. I don't like that. This is very old. Let me find a newer one. All right, so this is a newer one. At least I see, 14 months ago. So if you wanted to run this tool, it'll actually tell you like, hey, this is how you run the tool, DrupScan, scan Drupal, then give it the URL, then give it some threads. So let's run this one. So you clone the repo. So we need to clone this one. Oh yeah, we have Drupal scan, Joom scan, and WP scan. And there we go. Once you clone it, get in the directory. There's different options that you can use, but for our sake here, we're just going to use Drupal scan, just like this. Our URL is going to be the full URL to our Drupal instance, which is just this one. And I'll leave the threads to 32. Let's find out if we can just make it work right away. And by running these two as well, we want to see, can we get detected? That's all we really care about. We can point and shoot some tool from GitHub, or what are they doing on our environment? Can we get caught by the defenders? Because if you do point and shoot, that's not going to be the most optimal way. So it looks like it's setting it up. We might have to wait for a little bit here. Let me find out if my security onion caught me downloading the tool. I don't think it did. I'm only looking in the last 15 minutes right now because that's what I'm more interested in. Suspicious URL access. That's interesting. This one is interesting. It's a low event though. Source IP is my Kali Linux, so that's going to be interesting. So this was a get to a hidden directory history. That's why it's suspicious. This is from Gobuster, as you can see. It's a get request. It's suspicious because nobody in their right mind would be accessing a hidden directory on a site using both the API or just a browser. So this is coming from the OSEC agent, meaning this is host-based. This is not network event. This is a host-based event. All right. So we're still loading the modules. We are at 42%. Let's look at more of these. These ones, we also found out that they're coming from Gobuster. I have not seen this one before, the one all the way at the bottom here. So I'm curious, what is that? Okay, it's an OSEC event again. So if anything, I want you to take from today is, if you look at this here, the user agent that Nmap sets for itself, which is kind of silly, is compatible Nmap scripting engine. It does tell people, hey, I'm Nmap, this is my name, this is why you can see this log showing up. So should you run Nmap when you're trying to hide? Maybe not. Write a simple bash script or Python script to do the scanning for you. Run Nmap, and this happens. It also can be a big deal if they don't detect you with your Nmap scan like this. It just shows that they don't have enough capacity to do things. All right, so this one, while this is working, I'll show you the scan in a little bit here, but let's now look for a quick way for us to break into the website. We will be using Metasploit. Again, this probably won't get caught, but we'll use Metasploit module to see if we can find out how this exploit works. So the first thing that we can do is we can go to search exploit and just search for it. And I just searched Joomla. I need Drupal. They're almost the same to me. There's a bunch of Drupal ones that we can see here. This one is an authenticated one. We don't have any authentication yet, but we have a Metasploit module for it. Let's see if we can find. There's SQL injections. We don't have any that we can use for now. The one that I want to use, though, for this one is going to be the Drupal 2. So I'll show you what that one looks like. Not 3, but 2. All right, so let's do an MSF console. All right, while my Metasploit is launching, if you use DrupScan to scan the site, it will tell you what it finds. This is like a WP scan, like we said. It didn't find any plugins. It didn't find any themes. It did say possible versions is 8.5. So when I search in my Metasploit, in my search exploit here, I'm looking for Drupal 8.5. And it says there's a default admin on this location here. So this 2 does all the work for us, which is amazing. The one question that you might be asking that I also have is, if you run DrupScan, do you get caught? And I would like to know about that as well. We have a username and password. I always say try the default admin password or admin, whatever the default for the application are. You can also try to create an account. You can try to do SQL injections here. Reset a password if you knew a username. Any of those should work. But did we get caught when we were running our Drupal scan? Let's look in the last 15 minutes. Common web attack. That's interesting. So our OSEC is seeing everything. What is this common web attack? This is coming from Apache logs. I wonder, there should have been at least one Suricata alert that saw that Drup scan. If it didn't, we should actually create a Suricata rule ourselves, because I'm surprised that we didn't even get one. So we got a 4.4 here, trying to access assets. And our host-based intrusion detection system is aggregating these GET requests and saying, yeah, this looks like a brute force, a directory brute force attack for us. That's why we have this common web attack. Okay, with that, let's go back and let's do this. Let's exit out of here and launch our AMSF console. So we are launching our Metasploit as a non-privileged user instead of as root. That's why it was stuck here. If my Metasploit is broken, we might have to do this by hand, which is the most fun. But let's try to use Metasploit and see if we can actually detect that as well. Oh yeah, Nmap is very noisy, and so is Gobuster. And DrupScan is looking good so far. I haven't caught it yet. Let's go back. After playing with these tools in my lab environment, the one thing that I noticed right away is I'm not going to be just running a tool from the internet against a network without knowing what it does. It's just not worth it. Not only can you break things, but also these tools are noisy. All right, so this one is just a notice in Apache. If you have a very high value target website on your environment, please go ahead and install host-based intrusion detection. This lab that I'm showing you here just goes and proves that, you know, that's very important for us. Our Metasploit launched, and this is what I got. It's always fun to see the different logos you get here. So you can search within Metasploit for Drupal. As you can see here, we have exploit Unix, Drupal 2. It says it's excellent. So I will use 1. Okay. Now, what options does this one need? So if you've never used Metasploit in your life, this is a very simple thing to do. We're saying, okay, local host, local port, that's okay. When you ask it for options, you are looking for this required section. If you see required and it's blank, you want to make sure that you go and you set that value. So far, on the required port, things are filled out, but remote port is 80 for us, which is good. SSL is false because it's not SSL encrypted. Target URI, this one we might need to think about. It's thinking that we are at the root of the web server. But if you go back to our site here, you and I know we're on /Drupal. So we need to change that. Set target URI to /Drupal, which should now be correct. Show me some options. Okay. Then 444, we'll be able to track this one down very soon. This IP address for local host, let's verify that. So we are looking at this IP address for eth0, which is right here. You can do set lhost to eth0, which is my favorite. I don't like typing IP addresses. If you do show options, it should have picked up my IP address. What in the world did you do? Okay. Last time when I used this one, I thought it actually translates eth0 to the IP address. This time it says to eth0. I bet you it still works, but for my own sanity, I like to see an IP address there. But you can do it both ways. All right, 444 is a very dumb port to use if you're trying to hide and if you're trying to look like a professional. But it's also a port that people like you and I, script kiddies, use. So I like to use it because if I'm trying to test detections, I want to be as sloppy as I can, and I'll leave 444 there. With that, I can say exploit or run. Our host, of course. How is it supposed to know my R host? It's required, and it's not there. 192.168.38.121. Now run or exploit, whatever you choose. The target is vulnerable. That's good. So we're in business here. As we attack, like I said, Metasploit, I showed you last time like how you can detect the rules from here. You can even create your own Suricata rules to detect Metasploit attacks. So it opened one session here. So we have a Metapredator session. We know we are in business here. This wasn't too hard. And here's Metapredator. If I say shell, ID, I'm in is www data. So let's go check it out. We did some damage here. We're watching everything, both from our intrusion detection system, and also from the host itself we have an agent that's running. So I'm interested. We didn't catch any Metasploit. We should be able to catch that, and we can create a rule. So right now we just ran ID. Oh, who am I? We are www data. Let's see if we can generate a reverse shell here. I'll show you how to pivot from here to a better shell. Instead of using Metasploit for our privilege escalation, which we can, and just make it work, we can actually just get another shell, or maybe I can use the upload feature here to upload linps. All right. So let's get it as a different reverse shell if we wanted to. Naked minus LV and P 5555. We can get let's see if we have Python. So we have no Python 3, we have Python. You can just go to Rev Shells online here. Put our IP address here, 192.168.137, I believe. And we're going to 555. We're using Netcat. We can use Bash, we can use Python, we can use whatever you want. This is like a buffet of all exploits, all things exploits. So let's use Python. That's too fancy for me. I just want a simple Python import like this one. You can encode, which makes it fun, like URL encode, to try to hide. I don't want to encode anything because I would like to see what that looks like. There's a copy, but so if I do this and run, it failed. Let me see. Yeah, it didn't send anything. So what happened here? You need to say bash execute this, but paste. All right, it's hanging. No route to host. It ran something. So that's how you can do to try to get a shell back. So since Python is not working, it's trying to escape. Why even bother? Let's go with bash -i. Let's copy that. And bash is not working. So I'm not going to even bother with these ones. I already have a shell. I know that I have a shell. And that's what I really wanted to show you. The exploitation process includes getting in there and then running maybe linps or another tool to get away from being www data. That's not too exciting for me because I showed you last time how we can do that. Right now, I'd like to focus on, we just ran a reverse shell and we were able to exploit that tool. We did not get anything. That's a problem for us. We did not get a rule here that says we exploited Drupal. Why did that happen? And if you wanted to detect that attack for Drupal, what can you do? That's, I think, more important for us and for you and I to really think about and try to understand. If we were to just say this was your company and somebody ran this attack and they got a shell, what would you do? I'll show you a few places we can go. If you sign into your intrusion detection system, in this case, I signed into my security onion. A lot of people on this channel seem to really like this idea of coming in here and revisiting some rules and talking about these rules. So if you go to your OPT, security onion, sort stack, local, sort, IDS tools, and local.rules, this is where you update your local Suricata rules. So I'm using VI here. I was toying around before you showed up with a rule, and I'm wondering why it didn't fire. So we're saying it's an alert, TCP from any port for any port, going to any port, NIP to any port, any IP to any port. And this one says we detected Drupal CVE, which is the one that we just used. So this is how you create detection rules. So when you show up to work and you're an analyst and things are popping on your screen and you have to react and you wonder, okay, where are they coming from? Instead of just reacting to them, you can actually understand, oh, they are looking for specific things here. In this case, we're looking for a flow to a server. It needs to be established. The content needs to be a post. So the reason why, of course, this didn't fire is because our C2 that we use here, Metasploit, was probably just encoding things and we didn't see it. We're looking for an HTTP method with this content here. Markup, user register, target URI of PRCE, access callback, or any of these here. That's what we're looking for. This rule is loaded in my system, and of course, we didn't match any of these. But let me see if I go to user register, we might be able to trigger it. I was able to visit the site right here, create an account. I don't need a picture. So we just try to sign in for an account. This is one of the parameters that we have here. I think we should have been we should have sent a GET request with that parameter. But if we were to detect it, this is an example of a rule that we can use, and it's a Suricata rule. I can't get it to fire right now, but it's loaded. Once you put a rule in here, you need to make sure that you run these commands. So rule update, this will update the rules on your intrusion detection system. Right now, it's going to show me that it didn't update anything because I didn't change the rule, or I didn't update anything. But this will update the rule. You also need to restart your Suricata, which I don't think I did. Let me find out how I restart Suricata from security onion docs, because I can't make them up. So we'll restart our intrusion detection system and see what happens. So here's some docs that we have. Let's use a sort call command to apply the Suricata state. Then we can restart the Suricata event. This will actually make sure that our rules are loaded. Right now, it's running with this process ID in the background, probably from a high state that's running right now. And then we should be able to do the detection. And that's what I had there. Now, thanks very much for the good vibes. Appreciate it. If you haven't, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel. I have more things to show you here on this channel, especially in the next month or so. It's very exciting stuff. If we go back to our alerts, just give me the last 15 minutes. System CTL restart Suricata. Yeah, this one is a container for Suricata. So if I do a source status, let's find out. Everybody's happy. So if you ever set up security onion for yourself, make sure everything says okay. Sometimes you might have a few strugglers, especially if you don't have enough resources. Make sure everybody's happy. So right now, Suricata is happy. We're running a log in the background. But this location here, that's where you update some rules. And it's really fun. Yes, I know attacking is fun. BT just said detection is where the money is at, and it's very difficult. I think that you owe it to yourself. If you call yourself an attacker or a hacker, you need to know how to defend against whatever you're doing. If you just know how to attack and you really don't know how to defend, I don't think there's a lot of merit in that. You need to know. If you cause a lot of noise for people, you need to know what that does. You can't just show up and point and shoot at systems and not know what that the impact is or what that looks like on the wire. All right. So everything is happy here. And like I showed you, we showed you the rule that should suppose have fired, but it didn't. With that, I think that's a good place for me to show you the next phase. I have a Metasploit shell here. You can use your dirty cow attack to get a reverse shell as root, which is fine. But I wanted to show you a few things. So switching gears, I have a giant bag of cables. There's going to be a video of me doing some cable management on the lab and showing you the systems one at a time. I don't think that I'm very good at cable management, but I'll show you what that looks like. I chose the color white for all the cables, and I'll be doing that in the lab environment. I'll be showing you how that's done. In addition to that, I also wanted to share you one thing with you as well. I keep an eye on my, I don't know if you can see this, agenda. I have a book that actually I use as an agenda. Because someone asked me last week, like, hey, how do you stay organized? Or how do you do this? How do you have time? I have a physical book with a calendar where I write things. I don't want to show you things, but sometimes I have some secret stuff that I'm planning. I don't want you to see them. So yeah, that's what I use for my preparation and making sure that I stay on task with everything. And I try to hold myself accountable to everything that I put in that book, including this live stream here. And that's how I stay on top of things, and I can learn. I can be a father to my son. I can be a good friend, husband, and also really try to balance everything that I'm doing in life, because it's very, very difficult to not have an agenda and have a day just be dragged by whatever comes. I have to prioritize things. Yes, yeah, secret passwords written in here. No. All right, that's what I have. Someone says, do you have advice? Use security onion in big company environment? Yes. I have helped people set up security onion in huge environments. You need to set up in a distributed environment. It's very easy to set up, actually. You have a primary master node or primary node, then you can have different nodes set up. Then you can have analyst machines deployed. It's very, very easy. I think it's possible to deploy security onion in a production environment and not spend thousands of dollars on those SIEMs out there. If I worked for a small company, I would not even bother going anywhere else. I would set them in security onion. Most of your work is going on to be on tuning this thing though. It's very loud out of the box. You need to tune it. So you need to remove a bunch of noise. You need to add a bunch of rules and subscribe to, commercial rules other than the free ones that we are using here. That's what that's what we'll use. Okay. The terminal emulator that I'm using, in Kali here, I'm using the undercover mode. So it's called Kali Undercover. It reminds me of Windows. So if you say Kali Undercover, like you see here, I can switch between the two modes in no time. And that's what I'm using. It's called the Undercover mode in Kali Linux. It just looks like Windows, and I've been using it for a while, and I like it that way. Awesome. Yeah, excuse me. Security Onion is free, but here's the kicker. You need to tune this thing. It will not work for you as you'd expect out of the box. There is a lot of babysitting that you need to do to make sure that it works. So right now, I just removed my undercover mode in Kali. And it's complaining. It's like, hey, we just changed back. We restored you to Kali Linux. Now it looks like Kali Linux. I'm going to put it back to undercover mode. It's supposed to not freak people out when you go to a coffee shop. They think you're on a Windows machine. That's what it's supposed to do. It's silly, but yeah. OpenDR. No, I haven't actually used it. I'll check it out after this live stream and see what it's all about. But I have not used OpenDR for anything. Sounds like an interesting tool though. Yes, Security Onion is definitely a SIEM. I would say it's a SIEM. Let me see this one. I would definitely call Security Onion a SIEM. Because a SIEM is a security event and information management system. You can send just regular system logs to Security Onion and it will do the work. You can send security events to Security Onion and it will do the work. It's very robust and it can be used for whatever you really desire to use it for. I would say it can be a SIEM. And it also comes with tools for incident response that you can use. I don't have them here installed, but you can install tools for responding to events and for hunting events, like the hunt here. So I definitely see it as a SIEM. If you choose to go this route, though, the Security Onion route is you're just on your own. Compared to things like Splunk, where there's a lot of big community and everybody knows Splunk. Security Onion, everybody knows Security Onion, but to use it for incident response and to use it effectively, you're going to need a little bit of training and make sure that people that you assign to use it know how to use it. Because there's a lot here, like the cases section here. For example, you can generate a bunch of cases and respond to them or create new cases, add some comments, add attachments, observables, events tied to that, and have history of your events. So yeah, I would definitely use this one. I just created a case. It's assigned to me with my email address here. So yeah, definitely. No, you do not have to create a lot of custom parsers. That's the beauty of this tool is once you install it, what you need to do is go and create your own rules for specific things, or remove some rules that are just noisy. That's what I mean by you need to customize it. There's a lot of noisy rules that you might not need. There's some rules that are missing that you might need to add. I don't think out of the box, the free version is a full SIEM solution at all. You need to spend some time on it And also, I would go and subscribe to ET Pro events for Suricata, the Pro events. I would go and look for more rules from the community than the ones that just come in by default, because the ones that are by default are like a third of what you need. You need more than that. That's why our lab is not detecting a lot here, because we don't have the Pro rules loaded most of the time. If you set up, if you happen to set up an Elastic cluster, like Elastic SIEM, the one that they just came up with, you will need to set up your own Logstash custom things as well. But out of the box, it comes with a tool called Watcher that you can use for creating rules. So there's two options. If I were to set up a SIEM for a company tomorrow and they're on a budget and there's only 3 of us in the team, I will go and look at Elastic SIEM or Security Onion. Most likely, because of the maturity of Security Onion, I'll end up going with Security Onion. But the Elastic SIEM is very, very appealing because it's way more streamlined, and you can also install the agents just like the Wazoo agents that we install here. But the Elastic SIEM is a little special. I can't tell if I like that one better than Security Onion, but Security Onion has been around for a while, so it's more mature. Yeah. Yes. ET Pro and Community yeah, there is a big difference. If you pay for your ET Pro rules, the one big difference is with ET Pro rules, you get updates in real time. So I mean, you can pull every 24 hours and get a lot of really good custom rules. So the numbers will be different. The Pro version is more rules, and the rules there are more streamlined. The community one is, of course, open source. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not as up to date and it's not in as real time as the Pro one. So I would go and buy the Pro one if I want. If I were with a company, I would just subscribe to them, because the ET Pro ones, I mean, they are up to date. When Log4j happened, for example, the community might have had some rules, but the Pro ones had been tested and verified and validated, and they won't break your system or anything like that. The community ones, they are the community ones, not as up to date. Or sometimes they do catch up, but I'll just pay. They are very cheap to subscribe to. Just go and subscribe to the ET Pro rules for Security Onion if I were you. I helped what's happened here? I helped a company in Southern Africa set up a Security Onion instance for a bank last year, a year and a half ago. It was awesome. It was awesome to see them use it, and they are very good at using it, and they like the cases that are there. So if you want to put every CVE in Suricata Wazoo rules, it depends on what you are trying to do. For the Wazoo agent, you need to go to the agent configuration file. Sometimes you need to put them on the manager. For Suricata, you can just go to this location that I just showed you here. You add your rules here, then these ones will be added to the main one later. These are Suricata rules. So you can manipulate your rules in here. It's very simple. Creating the rules on the other end is something else. You need to know what you're doing when you create rules. You can't just come in here and think you can make up some rules on the fly. There's going to be a lot of testing. So, for example, if you've never seen a Suricata or Snort rule in your life, you need to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, what does Snort rule look like? Can I actually understand what it's doing? If you understand regular expressions, you're going to be in for a nice treat here, because regular expressions make it 10 times easier. If you understand network traffic and what it looks like, you'll be in for a nice treat as well. But if you have no idea what regular expressions are, what network traffic looks like, what HTTP traffic looks like, or TCP traffic looks like, you're going to have a hard time even coming up with a rule itself, because you need to understand, like, okay, this part here is nothing, right? I'm just saying here I need an alert when TCP traffic from any IP to any port and print this message. Anybody can write this. That's nothing. But once you start defining that you want a flow to a server and you want to make sure that the connection is established, now you're talking. What does this mean? What does it mean when you have an established connection? Well, you go back to your networking, security plus 101. Network plus 101. What is a TCP connection? What is a TCP handshake? The TCP SYN ARC. That type of knowledge comes in handy here. Then, of course, how do websites talk? The different methods that you can see with HTTP communication, post, get, options. In this case, we're looking for a post as an HTTP method. If you had no idea what an HTTP method is, looking at this, it'll be gibberish. It'll be like, I have no idea what this means. But if you kind of understand like what these things are in general, you'll be in for a nice treat. And it's fun to create rules, by the way. Scan vulns in security onion by Wazoo. Now, I'll tell you though that the Wazoo agent is limited. It's very limited when you are using security onion. If you wanted to just rely on the Wazoo agent, go and install a separate Wazoo server. In fact, that's what I suggested for the other people who deployed security onion, because they wanted host based and then they wanted network based. So they use security onion just for the network. Because if you wanted to do like real-time response with, say, VirusTotal API response, you see a signature, check VirusTotal in real time. VirusTotal is not supported here by default with security onion, but Wazoo does support VirusTotal out of the box. You can use the free open source version of VirusTotal to integrate it with security onion, but they will say it's still not supported. So you're kind of limited there. If you wanted real-time instant response with Wazoo, or scan for vulnerabilities and actually get a nicer dashboard, install just a Wazoo manager as a separate. So you have two systems: Wazoo manager, security onion. Security onion looking at your network traffic and any other funny business. Wazoo manager looking for all endpoints. Then you have two separate systems and you can react to both. The one that's integrated with security onion has some challenges. I'm not as happy as I thought I would be with it. That's just what I think. It's not up to par. Because I was trying to integrate it with VirusTotal with the free API. It's a nightmare and it doesn't work well. Someone from security onion is going to be mad at me for saying that. Like, hey, we did a good job. I think they did a good job, but it's just a little clunky. It doesn't like VirusTotal, and everybody needs to use VirusTotal for customizing and looking at signature-based detection. It should be well. All right, so as you can see, we're doing a quick Q&A here. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments here. I'd like to answer anything that you have. Yeah. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, this is really fun stuff. I'm also excited. Tomorrow, I'll be 100% starting on a red team. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about that. I'm going to be 100% red teaming starting tomorrow. I was kind of doing a lot of detection, and to go the other side is going to be fun. So that's why tonight, as you can see, I didn't have a lot of content because I was just excited. I was trying to understand a lot of other things. Depending on how much I have to learn on that team, as I join a red team, I might be canceling a few of our streams. I hope not, but if I end up getting too busy, I'll let you know. For now, every Sunday from now on, we will be coming back here and we'll learn something. And if anything, we just come here and just talk about things that you care about and things that you want to learn. Or, I can bring some guests as well. But last minute announcement, tomorrow I'll be starting as 100% working full-time at work as a red team person, meaning I'll be doing some of the attacking stuff and also trying to help people identify the gaps in their environments. So that's awesome. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate you for joining. I will see you next week. Please like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends, and send me a message if you need any help or just need to talk. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Thanks.